everything is just about their problems in life, that after the conversation, you feel drained. You feel like, oh my God, life is just a box of problems, and there's nothing else in life that I can enjoy. Welcome to the Us Obsessed Show, where we share stories, deep life experiences, and turning points to wake humanity up to the truth of who they are. Hi, my wonderful YouTube family. Welcome back to yet another episode of my very personal, soulful reflections. Firstly, thank you for giving me so much love for my first episode. I didn't know that sharing my life's experiences and the learnings that I've endured during the whole process would be really embraced with so much love. But my whole intention is to share my experiences and share my learnings and see what resonates with you and what you can learn out of my own journey. And I'd love to hear about you as well. So always, whenever I share anything, drop in a comment, tell me what did you feel and what are you going through, because we're in this together. So without further ado, today's topic is very personal to me because this has taught me so much in life, and it's all about toxic relationships and when do you really need to let go of them. Yes, we've all been prey to this, where we have had a toxic partner or a toxic circle of friends, or work can be really toxic with politics going on and yada yada. And we go through this in some point in our life. And for me, my own personal experience, and one of the tipping points for me was my own failed arranged marriage. It was a toxic marriage that ended in 19 days, and I came out miserable, terrible, shattered. But from then on, did my own growth and development journey begin, because I started going within and seeing what is my life and what are the relationships within my life that don't serve me anymore. Because you know what, guys? Relationships bring love and joy to our life, our support system. And if we don't have a good support system, things can get ugly and you can feel really alone. And that's what this Us Obsessed show is all about as well. Because when I share my experience, you share yours, and we understand that we're not in this alone and we're in this together. Coming back to the types of relationships that we have, and sometimes they can be painful to let go of. But we need to understand that we need to check every area of our life and see what is really draining us, stressing us, and affecting our well-being. And just like you weed out from a beautiful plant all those things, also all those succulents that don't serve it, we need to wean these relationships off. So I'm going to give you a couple of signs from my own personal experience and what I still stick to, because these are very important ones, and the last one is super important. So stay tuned. But I've got my book once again, and let's begin. So number one is lack of personal boundaries. You know, personal boundaries are your sacred space, which are very dear to you. Yeah. And when people start stepping into that boundary which you've established, and if you've not, then I'd recommend we have a video called Personal Boundaries. Go ahead, watch it, and come back, because everyone needs to establish their personal boundaries for their own happiness and well-being. And those who don't respect our own personal boundaries, well, it's plain and simple. They should be kept at an arm's distance, because, and what do I mean by stepping into, your personal boundary? It could just be your partner or your friend checking your phone or checking your cupboard without your permission. Or it could just be someone asking you for favors over and over without even checking whether you're free or not, or whether you could do it or not. And these are things people do very unconsciously. And there's no judgment again. But if someone's just on you and not honoring you, well, they don't deserve to be in your inner circle, in your life, because it's causing you more stress and more irritation than that relationship bringing you happiness and being fruitful to you. So imagine your personal boundary being the fence within your garden, and it's protecting your emotional garden. And you've got to put it up and see that it's adhered to so that you have order and not chaos in your life. Which brings me to point number 2. One-way street. It's pretty simple. Have you seen that friend who just keeps on asking you over and over and over for things and there's no reciprocation? Look, in a relationship, let's understand that it's always a two-way street. It's always an energy exchange. It may not be like, oh, I did this help for you, so I expect something. But when I do something, within your heart, because you feel so much in love and in gratitude, that you in turn would give me something. And that's what the beauty is of a relationship, When was the last time, you probably cooked a meal for your family or did something and your child came running and was like, Mommy, it was a beautiful meal. Or at work, this has happened to me where I've helped a colleague and the next day I've seen a cute little chocolate on my desk just to say thank you because it helped him cut down his work from 3 days to 3 hours. And these are things that just bring another vibe to a relationship. And when it's a one-way street constantly, it just feels like you're doing everything that you can for this relationship and the other person is not even valuing it 1%. And that's what I mean by one-way street. And at that moment, you've got to really step back and see, how's this relationship serving me if it's just draining everything within me and not even giving me an ounce of happiness now? Which brings me to point number 3, which is the energy drainer. Okay, so you guys have to tell me this. How many times have you seen conversing with a person? It can be anyone, colleague, friend, partner, I hope not partner though, but anyone. You talk to them and they are so negative and they're in the victim mode, mind you, right? Everything is just about their problems in life, that after the conversation, you feel drained. You feel like, oh my God, life is just a box of problems and there's nothing else in life that I can enjoy. That's the energy drainer. That's the energy vampire, but I don't like to call them vampires, so I just call them energy drainers. Please look out for them. They are very potent because you know what? They're within us and we don't even realize, and they keep on talking about the problems and gossiping and just create a very bad quality of the entire conversation. And you get to know the integrity of the person as well, because if they keep on bad mouthing, do they really see the wonder, the joy, the beauty in life? No. And I think you need to wean them off, just like a weed in a plant. And I'm going to talk a lot about plants because I live in a farm. But this is the analogy that you need to see, because let's face it, right? When a weed grows with a plant, what's going to thrive more? The weed's just going to suck the beauty out of the plant. How's the plant going to thrive, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Your friends, your family can vent out. Venting out is fine. That's where you're being a support system to them. You're giving them a shoulder. But constantly venting out? No, it's just going to drain you. And if that constantly happens day in, day out, well, you need to check the status of that relationship. Which brings me to point number 4, no accountability. This is such a deep and such a profound point, because a lot of people make mistakes but don't own up to it. What I mean is, you can make mistakes. We're all humans. But does the person value you and the relationship that much that they can say that, oh, sorry, I made this mistake, and move on? Those are those people that can't even say a sorry when they make a mistake. And that's because they take everything onto them and their egos. They're so heightened that for them, in the relationship, they have to win and be above the other person. And this can be a lot within partners, spouses. I think the beauty of any relationship is when it's a win-win relationship, when egos don't come to the surface and it's okay to be wrong, and you leave aside all that right and wrong, and you value and love that relationship that much that you can own up to even your mistakes and even when you think the other person might be going wrong. That's open communication and sharing. And that's a vulnerable place, right? Because you have no facades on and you can just be honest about the entire thing. You're not making excuses unnecessarily. You're taking accountability, taking ownership for your actions and your decisions. And isn't that such a juicy, growthful relationship to be in? Like, just think about it for once, right? Like, you're just sitting and you're having a discussion, and suddenly that discussion becomes an argument with the other person. It could be your friend, partner, colleague, whatever. But you just be like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, that's where I went wrong. And the other person is like, oh yeah, and I think this is what I meant, and it could have been misconstrued. And then suddenly from, no, I want to be right, it becomes a win-win for both. And that relationship thrives because now you've given a vulnerable, safe, and open space to discuss. And you're taking ownership and accountability. Which brings me to point number 5. No open communication. If a relationship is a relationship where you walk on eggshells, and what I mean is you're always tippy-toeing and seeing whether you can talk openly or not and be honest with the other person, and if all the answers are no, then with an exception that yes, you walk on eggshells, then this relationship needs a proper review and recheck, and probably an open discussion that why aren't we open with each other? Why aren't we honest with each other? Do we have certain things that are lacking, certain different expectations or no trust that we can bring to the table and have a very honest discussion about anything and everything in our lives? Because the fact of the matter is, I see so many relationships, and when I see is because I'm a coach as well, and a lot of the people that come to me have problems, and some of those problems are purely because there's no open communication. You can always be open but respectful and tell the other person what you really feel, because you might not know that the other person might be feeling something else or something pretty similar, and just because you've not had an open dialogue, there's so much of like stifle in the growth of that relationship, the evolution of that relationship. Which brings me to point number 6, lingering in negativity. Super important, guys. Look, you have your circle, you have your closest people around you to share your dreams, your goals, your missions, everything, your vision in your life. But if a person constantly pulls you down with all those beautiful passions and your dreams that you want to pursue, then that relationship is lingering in negativity. Because the other person is trying not to see you prosper, but trying to pull you down so that they also feel comfortable with them being in that level. You get what I mean? When you go to your friend and you're like, oh, I have this dream and this is what I want to do, and you're so excited about it. And your friend's like, oh, I don't know, maybe this would happen or that would happen. And they say 10 negative things about it without even saying, oh, that's great, but with a concern that, have you checked these things for it? Now that comes from a place of care and concern, not from a place of jealousy and like, oh no, I don't want them to prosper. That's when you're lingering in negativity. And this can be with everything, with your colleagues, your partner, your friends, everything. Why do I reiterate on this same point? Is because you'll have to check all your relationships to really see who are your cheerleaders and rooting for you, while of course giving you advices from their own experiences, and who are those who really want to like pull you down and see you not prosper. I know I'm cheering for you, and that's why I'm giving you all of this, so that you know what can you now build in your circle, so that you have people who really support you and your dreams from the bottom of their heart and don't have malign intents, because they want to do stuff in their lives but they're not so driven, or maybe lazy, or just have certain limiting beliefs that is scaring them to move forward. You want to be with a community which is thriving, not depleting. Which gets me to the last point, which is the game changer: sacrificing authenticity. What do I mean by that? Sacrificing being you. And I know this is prevalent so much nowadays, where especially I remember this while I was a teenager, where just to fit into the crowd, I wanted to act in a certain way so that I could be with the cool kids, which was okay to a certain point but didn't match my core values. Now, for 10 seconds, I really want you to think, what are your core values? Do you know that? That's your authentic self, right here, right now. And how can you show up as your authentic self with the people around you? And where do you need to keep facades and masks when you go? Those are the relationships that you really need to check on. Because you know what? When you're not yourself, and when you're constantly keeping up a face, a facade, it can be very draining for you, because every time you show up as someone else, you lose a part of yourself. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. That's why they say, go within, find your true nature, true self, because that's going to radiate and shine so bright. Check within you. Who are you? What are your core values? And are you having that set of friends that match that core values? You could be loving books and joining a book club where people love reading books, and not going to probably parties where you have to wear something spectacularly fresh and nice and keep a facade. If you notice yourself constantly changing for a particular relationship that doesn't gel with you, then that means you are sacrificing your authenticity. Please don't give in to peer pressure. I see a lot of kids nowadays, a lot of youth just giving into peer pressure so that they can mold and get into the whole group. But having learned it myself, and I've learned it the hard way, I think the more you hone yourself, your vibe attracts your tribe. And I can assure you this, it might take a couple of months or maybe a year or so, but you will find your tribe. And when you do, oh my God, it is amazing. And this happens gradually as you show up as yourself. Because let's face it, if you don't show up as yourself, how will the universe or whoever who needs to support you know who you are? So declare it today. Be authentic to yourself. My intention to share with you these signs and these points are that you can go ahead and now check where in your life do you really need to ponder and focus on those certain relationships that don't serve you. And making these decisions can be hard. I know that. But It is really needed for your growth, for your well being, for your joy, for your peace, because, guys, you deserve it. You deserve to have relationships in your life that cheer for you, that support you, are happy to see you prosper, are there with you no matter what, and have your back. So, go ahead. Good luck with your relationship audit and comment below with what resonated with you and what are you going through. If you need any help, write it down. I'm all yours in terms of helping you guide, because I'm so grateful I'm able to guide other people through my coaching journey in their own relationships and help them shine and thrive. Until next time, keep smiling and happy relationship auditing. Mwah. I love you.